Okay, go.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing while we mention those who have passed since the last meeting. Nancy J. Jennings, Donna Lynn Johnson, Diane Oliver, Nancy Joyce Quick, Leonard A. Walcott, Jr.
Whole bunch of folks coming in, Terry.
Okay, we have a roll call. Paul?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Cassie?
Here.
And I'm present. Is Mike on Zoom or not?
No, Mike said he'd love to, but he's really under the
so
weather.
we have him as absent.
Yep.
All right. At this point, the fire exits are right here. Don't go out that door if there's an emergency. Fire exit is right here. Correspondence, we do have one correspondence, I believe.
Yes. Who wants? Want me to read it? Yes, please. Okay. Hi, Cassie. Unfortunately, I cannot attend the public hearing this Thursday regarding the trees at Littman Park, but I wanted to share this information with you because it's important that we save these trees for Wawarsing residents, visitors, and the environment. I drove by the park the other day with a specific goal to look at the trees lining the entrance to see their proximity to the power lines. I noticed that the trees on the south side had no power/utility lines running behind them whatsoever. The north side has some power lines as you get closer to the park, but further away, they're a good distance from the trees. See attached. Attached is he did give us pictures. It's imperative that we do everything in our power to save these trees for a number of reasons. One, aesthetically, they add so much to the majestic entrance to this park. Visitors and residents have commented on the beautiful and serene feeling they get when entering the park. Two, the trees help the environment by cleansing the air and provide much needed shade on warm days. They also aid in water abatement on rainy days by absorbing rainfall, thus protecting the park from flooding. 3, they help keep snow levels down on the roads during winter months. 4, Wawarsing would be doing our small part by not contributing to the global warming phenomenon that is affecting the entire globe. 5, shows that our town cares about its citizens and the environment. It's the right thing to do. I also understand there will be a cost in labor/time and equipment to trim the trees. Only some of the trees on the north side will require maintenance. That is a small price to pay for preserving this beautiful part of town. Maybe we can initiate a fund drive to help defray some of the costs. Many residents, visitors, and out-of-towners would likely step up to contribute, especially bikers who use the park frequently. Do we really want to clear-cut these trees without researching all alternatives? I'm available to discuss this further with you and the council. Hopefully we'll take these factors into consideration before making your decision. Once they're gone, it will take decades to replace. Sincerely, Bob Goldfluss of Kerhonkson.
All right, is that it for the correspondence? Correct. Yes, it is. At this point, we have petitioners time. Anybody that's in the audience or on Zoom that would like to make comment, anything that has to do with the town of Wawarsing, this is your time. Step up to the podium here and state your name and discuss what your concerns are.
So my name is Meg Brown. I live in Craigslist. The reason I'm actually here because I noticed that article in the Shawano Journal, and I was wondering if there was an alternative, or if the journal was incorrect. So I just wanted to say I kind of agree with those elaborate descriptions of what would happen, but I personally just happen to like the trees and hope there's another way I would contribute. But I also wanted to see what you all did because I've never been here before. So that's why I'm here, and that's what I wanted to say.
And what was your name?
Meg Brown.
Meg Brown.
BROWNE, right?
With an E, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sure. So at this point, is there any other petitioners?
Nope.
All right, given that there isn't any, we're going to go to the seeker review, Somerset. Full environmental assessment, part 2, review for Somerset Medley. redevelopment plan. Mike Moriello, land use attorney for Somerset Partners, and we have some folks from Somerset Partners on the Zoom. And we welcome you guys tonight, and let's get it started, Mike.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Board members, thank you very much for having us. Tonight on the project team, we have with us Bill Sparkman, engineer, Chris Round, our planner, Donna Bridgman, our landscape architect, Joe Monteleone is one of the principals, Keith Rubenstein, one of the principals, and we're here.
Andrew Roth.
And Andrew Roth. And Andrew Roth, one of the principals too. We're here, as the board remembers, at the last meeting, we spent very lengthy time going through the EAF Part 2, which is the long environmental assessment form for environmental impacts. At that meeting, which was attended by myself and Joe Monteleone, there were some questions in the 18 areas of environmental address that merited more discussion, and we've discussed those issues internally, and we have the people here to be able to address those. I thought that probably the best thing to do, since 98% of the form is completed,
Correct.
just take those few areas and go through them. The first one that we had was impact on land. The question was, the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to the water table is less than 3 feet. That I can turn over to Bill to address too.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, the question is, Bill, the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to the water table is less than 3 feet. We had marked on our draft that we had submitted to the board, this is the board's document though, naturally, we had marked no to small impact, and the board didn't necessarily change that, but wanted to hear what you had to say on that.
I believe that would be correct, Mike. I think it would be our intention to build, most of the development in the upper lands, especially with concern with the resort. Now, obviously, being in a low-lying area around Temple Lake and some of the surrounding wetlands, we'll have a variety of geotech investigations that will kind of suss out, what exactly soil parameters and subsurface conditions are present on the site, and maybe there could be some tweaking that's done at that point. But I would agree with that statement that is a minor impact.
So, Bill, this is Bill Collier. I just want to confirm then, so you're not considering dredging to be construction, is that correct?
That's correct. I think in terms of just impacts to what you folks would consider dredging would be limited to just reconstruction of the dam, of Nebly Dam, and so there would be minor work necessary, kind of remove the old structure, remove some of the cribbage, any kind of boulders, rocks, all the accumulated kind of sediment in the footprint of the dam, and that's where that kind of work would be limited.
So I believe the consensus was when we reviewed this last week was that yes, we would check in yes, and that there'd be small or no impact for A, B, C, D, a moderate impact for E, small or no impact for F and G, and a moderate impact for H.
Correct.
Is that correct? That's what the board's
Yes.
concern was? And then for number 2, I think we agreed that there was no impact, geological features.
Correct.
And number 3, impact to water surfaces. We checked that yes, and then we had a couple questions.
Yeah, the several questions that were asked, I can read them off again. In little c, the proposed action may involve dredging more than 100 cubic yards of materials from a wetland or water body. This was again marked no to small impact by the applicant, but the town board wanted to hear how much we think we are going to remove, and whether or not they feel after the explanation that that's a moderate impact or not.
So I can take that one again, pretty Mike. So again, with regards to dredging, we'd be limiting that work to the area of the dam. Now, whether or not that would require greater than 100 yards of removal, there's a good possibility that it might. One of the things that we don't know until we get to the site and kind of dig into that area is exactly how much needs to be removed to not only remove the existing dilapidated structure, but also get in a new robust structure with a new foundation and new footing. It's going to be a little bit more spread out, for the toe and all that. So it may require some rules in that area. So I would err personally on the side of saying that it would be greater than 100.
And I would agree, just to let the board know, I'm perfectly fine with marking that impact moderate. Changing what we had suggested, because when I filled out the form, I was unaware whether or not that threshold would be exceeded. So I think we're better off, like Bill says, to err on the side of caution.
How about D and E? I think we have questions.
D and E. The D reads, the proposed action may involve construction within or adjoining a freshwater wetland or tidal wetland, or in the bed or banks of any other water body. We again marked no to small impact, but there were a couple of questions. One regarded any kind of proposed setbacks from federal wetlands, which don't typically contain any setback at the federal level, and what we were doing with the banks of the pond, if anything. Bill, I guess it's you and Chris again.
Right. So, I guess Mike, if you could help me out, what would be the threshold for like a moderate to large impact?
Well, I mean, we had marked no to small. I think we've settled with somewhat of a setback from federal wetlands ourselves for the purposes of the rezoning at either 5 or 10 feet, whatever that was. I think the board just wanted to know what that freshwater setback was, and do we, think we're going to be doing any kind of major work in these areas, which at that meeting, the last meeting, I said I did not believe we were doing any kind of major work in those areas, but I just want to run it by you guys too.
Correct. So I think
I'm happy to jump in here too. So this this touches a couple of items. I think one of the questions was there, and because previous iterations we were proposing actual dredging of the lake to improve the aesthetics of the lake. And I think earlier we mentioned that the dredging is going to be limited just to the area of the restoration of the dam. And that is work within a wetland, right? So that does occur. And then there are other wetland disturbances on site. We propose compliance with, there are no state wetlands on site. There are federal wetlands. As you mentioned, Mike, there is no setback. And in our petition for rezoning, we're requesting a variation from what the local wetland regulations provided. And your consultant asked us to see if we could identify a minimum setback. And our goal is to maintain from the federal wetlands a minimum of 10-foot setback. And there are, again, we would develop additional details during the site plan review process to show that and show what impacts might occur as a result. So I don't know if that addresses that issue.
Yeah, I think if the board, I don't know what the board feels, if they think that's a moderate impact, or if they want to remain at no to small.
Moderate or small?
I think it's small.
I do too.
Small.
Okay, then E reads, the proposed action may create turbidity in a water body, either from upland erosion runoff or by disturbing bottom sediments.
And then, so for that one, I would say that the work that needs to be done within a water body. This is again for the dam. That would require a little bit of stirring up the bottoms, as this question alludes to. But there would have to be proper measures put in place that would be a condition of our speeding permit from the DEC to make sure that all downstream kind of flows from the project would not be impacted. So that would retain all of the impacts to the stream on site. and obviously, those impacts will be mitigated as part of that permit. And then, as mentioned in the prior question, there is no other large construction that is contemplated, within the wetlands or the streams, and any such that is would have to be mitigated to the DEC's regulations.
So is the town happy with marking that as small for E?
Yes.
Yes. I think the only other questions we had in this section were I and J.
That's correct. I reads, the proposed action may affect the water quality of any water bodies within or downstream of the site of the proposed action. And Bill, you'll get a kick out of this. Joe was there for it. I tried to explain the operations and mechanics of the forebay and removing 80% of the pollutants and attenuating peak rate of flows, but I'm, swimming around. So if you want to let them know.
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, Mike. You know a lot of the good buzzwords there, so I think that was pretty good. I think you can be a multi-discipline there. So to Mike's point, again, this is also part and parcel with E that we just discussed. The New York State DEC would require the speedies permit for this project for construction activities and stormwater discharge. And as part of that, we're required to provide erosion and sediment control during construction and also as a post-construction measure. So any kind of impacts to stormwater that would be the result of this project during construction and after would have to be properly mitigated as part of the DEC's permitting program, which requires, as Mike alluded to, treatment in the form of a variety of getting to it, which detailed here, of green infrastructure kind of techniques that the DEC has approved to kind of treat what they consider to be the appropriate storm event. And then furthermore, you also have to attenuate or reduce the peak flows of the larger storm events, what we're typically called the 50-year and the 100-year storms. And there are a variety of stormwater practices that can be used for that as well, such that the rates of runout that come from our project in the post-condition after development has to be equal to or less than what is currently present there now. So that would reduce any kind of impacts downstream of our project to ensure that there is not additional stormwater runoff flow resulting from this project. And that would be all part of the DEC's permitting program.
And I think as to J, we just wanted to confirm that you wouldn't be using herbicides or pesticides around water bodies.
Yeah, that was a question that one of the board members, Bill, brought up and said that they had cattails and they had to use pesticides to end up getting rid of them.
That was me.
Yeah, it was a good situation there, but we'll be using, my understanding is we'll use pesticides at times in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations and by licensed applicators at the ground. But this specific question is whether we will be applying pesticides or herbicides around or in any water bodies.
I don't think there's anything proposed at this time, Mike. As you said, we don't have an invasive species issue to remedy, and so there's nothing proposed at this time.
Right, so just to summarize then, for number 3, we're marking it yes. Everything's going to be a small or no impact, except for C, which will be checked as a moderate impact.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we're happy with that.
Yep.
Then going on to number 4, checking that yes. I think the town board was of the consensus that it was going to be small or no impact for A through H. We just wanted to note in B that you're relying on a letter from the village manager about the availability of water and the quantity that's available, and that for H that the sewer would be municipal, you'd be an out-of-district user.
Correct.
That's correct.
In the just in the comments. That everybody's consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
And then for number 5, impact on flooding, we're marking that yes. And I think we had questions about B, C, and F.
Yeah, correct. B was reads, the proposed action may result in development within a 100-year floodplain, and I think we should probably read it together with C. The proposed action may result in development within a 500-year floodplain. So we discussed this internally the other day. There's going to be limited development in these areas, but I'll let Bill take it from here.
That's correct, Mike. So our intention is to, as to the greatest extent possible. Now, one of the things to know about this particular site where the depot is that while we are in a 500-year floodplain, and that by itself kind of puts us in the 500-year, we basically what that means is that the structures the limits of that floodplain haven't been mapped for the site yet. But to the extent that we know currently where it is based on FEMA mapping, our intent is to make to keep structures out of the 100-year floodplain, but there will be development within the floodplain for roads, access roads, cart paths, footpaths, improvements necessary for those kind of things for circulation routes. And to do that, especially for the access road to the south, we would be elevating that out of the floodplain. Currently, it's low lying. And so that would provide, help provide emergency egress and egress to the site, in the event of a flood.
Okay, how about for F?
And yes, so the dam is obviously there is a dam on site and needed repair and upgrade, so that would be part of this project.
Yeah, and that was marked moderate to large, which I think is the correct
Yep.
answer.
Yeah, so I think the consensus was that A through E would be marked no or small, F would be marked moderate, and G would be marked no or small. There were no other impacts. Number 6, I think we agreed was a no substantial impacts on air quality. Everybody agree on that?
Yes.
So 7 were impact on plants and animals. We marked that yes.
Yeah, the only
And we had a question on H.
Bill and Chris. H reads, the proposed action requires the conversion of more than 10 acres of forest, grassland, or any other regionally or locally important habitat. And then it has a little blurb that says habitat type and information source. We discussed this with Barbara Beal, our resident expert at Labella on habitat matters, and she suggested that we write in here forest removal at the chestnut oak forest fringe, and then have the source be resource mapping and the soil survey. So,
As well as on-site tree survey, they actually did on-site tree survey.
okay, and on-site tree survey.
And just to that point, Mike, we don't think that that's more than 10 acres of the forest, our chestnut oak forest.
Right.
But just very limited along the forested areas of the site, and the design team, West 8 Front and Center, been very sensitive to that, and that was the reason that a tree survey was done, so we could avoid as much as practical impacts to the forest area.
So my notes indicate that the consensus was that there was no for A, C, D, E, F, and I, and it would be marked moderate for B, G, H, and J, and with the note in J that there's the bald eagle husband and wife residing on the site.
That's all correct.
That everybody agree on that?
Yes.
And then on number 8, we agreed that there weren't any adverse agricultural impacts. Number 9 is aesthetics. We marked that as yes. And I think we had questions about A and C.
Yeah, the board, guys, the board changed, we had noticed small impact. The board said that they thought that the impacts in those areas were moderate. Proposed action may be visible from any officially designated federal, state, or local scenic or aesthetic resource. And then the other one was C, the proposed action may be visible from publicly accessible vantage points seasonally and or year round.
Yeah, I think that's this one's a little subjective in that I think we did a visual impact analysis, including a view shed analysis, and we note that the current tower is the tallest structure on site, and the proposed structures on site will be at a lower elevation or a lower height. And the view shed analysis said, hey, it's the project site is still going to be visible off-site. We don't believe it's visible from any designated state or federal areas, but may be visible from local. So that's your charge, is whether you feel that's small or moderate. And I don't have a problem with moderate. That's both A and C.
We were talking about from
52.
52.
Yeah.
52 along
Highway,
the
Yeah.
So I think the consensus was that for A, we'd mark it as moderate, and C, I, and double I, Roman numeral, we'd mark that as moderate, and then B, D, E, F, and G marked as no or small.
And I also think we agreed that the aesthetic, it would be a positive aesthetic change versus a negative one, but there is a change.
Right. It's less of an intrusion than currently exists.
Well, the tower was like 10 stories and this is 4. So.
I think that was the
That was
last.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to number 10, we marked that as a yes, and I think we agreed that A was moderate, and B, C, D, E, Roman numeral I was moderate.
Yep.
E, Roman numeral 2 was no or small,
Yep.
and E, Roman numeral I was moderate, not major.
Yes.
And then, is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
And then 11, marked as yes, and we agreed A through E were small or no impact.
Yes.
12, we marked as a no. 13, we marked as a yes. A to E, we marked as no or small.
Yep.
Impact and energy, we marked as a yes. A, we marked as no or small. B, moderate.
Yep.
C, no or small. D, moderate. 15, we marked as a yes, with A being moderate. B, C, D, and E as no or small.
Yep.
F being the demolition of current structures, we marked as moderate, because it would produce some noise. 16, we marked as yes, and we marked everything A through M as no or small.
Yep.
17, we marked as yes. We marked A through G as no or small, with H being the redevelopment of the Nevele, and the site being rezoned as moderate.
Yes.
Yep.
And then 19 we marked as no, that's the last one. Or not 19, 18 we marked as no.
Correct.
Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Marking? So,
And what I talked to Bill earlier, and I think what I was going to suggest to the board was I'll take this form with me, I'll get it to my office, fill it back out so it reflects everything accurately, and then send it to Bill, check for the board, and then have the board tonight just adopt these answers as the answers. And then we don't have to go back through it again, but we'll confirm it with a clean copy without all my hieroglyphics on it.
yeah, I
Sounds good.
I think the first item on the agenda is for
First
the
item.
board to adopt it as reviewed and agreed upon tonight.
Correct.
You want to move on to item number 1 on the agenda? We can.
There's a lot of good impacts. I mean, when people are listening to this and going through it, when we're talking about impacts, it could be a positive impact. It could be a net. That's especially on
Environmentally friendly.
like number 12, the impact on the critical environmental areas. You don't see that. But I think this project is very, very environmentally friendly and actually, I guess that's.
Will constitute improvement over what's there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, actually, yes.
Does the board want to take a formal,
Yeah.
just a formal vote? And-
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're going to do at
Right
this
now.
point. I have a We'll have a motion to adopt part 2 of the seeker for the Somerset Neville redevelopment plan project as reviewed and agreed upon by the town board.
So moved.
Second.
Bill Brown makes the motion, Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Great, and I'll give you just, I'm working on the drafting the neg deck, the draft of the neg deck, which will be circulated to your board for review and to Bill and Mary Lou also for their input. That is coming along, and hopefully we'll have something to you after we look at it internally, and we'll get it here for your consideration and change it around how you see appropriate.
Well, that's what we're looking for.
It'll work well.
The word is negative declaration.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much to the board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Partners, every single one of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you later. Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Take care.
Safe
I'll
drive
talk to you
back.
tomorrow about our closing coming up.
Yes.
We're trying to get the latest time they'll give us on the 12th, which I heard was noon.
We'll get it. I'll see you later.
See you, Mike.
All right, to the agenda, town board to approve the bills as audited. We have 3 signatures.
Yep.
So moved.
Bill makes a motion, Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the minutes of the September 1st, 2022 regular and audit meeting, the September 13th budget workshop, 14th budget workshop, 15th regular and audit meeting, 19th budget workshop, September 26th workshop, September 27th special workshop.
I'll move 4 through 10.
Second.
Bill makes that motion, Cassie seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motions are carried. Number 11, town board to approve to hire Patrick Bolson as a laborer for the highway department. The starting hourly salary is based upon the IBEW contract for a 40-hour work week. The starting date will be effective October 7th. This is subject to a pre-employment physical and drug testing process.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the supervisor to execute a change order number 1 for Route
Yeah,
201.
skipped one. Number
Okay.
12.
Number 12, town board to approve to hire Francis Roller as a water wastewater maintenance worker for the water sewer department. Starting salary is based upon the IBEW contract for a 40-hour work week. The starting date will be effective October 13th, 2022. This is subject to pre-employment physical and drug testing.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes that motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the supervisor to execute change order 1, number 1, for Route 209 individual water service connections, H. Ulsterhout Excavating, Inc., for a no-cost time extension. The contract value will remain $737,038.50.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes the motion. Cassie seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 2 for local road water mains 2, Rutledge Excavating, Inc., Wawarsing Water District, for a no-cost contract time extension. The contract value will remain at $1,187,217.92.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion. Paul seconds it.
Aye.
All in favor? Number 15. Town board to approve payment number 7 in the amount of $33,479.90 to Rutledge Excavating for the Wawarsing Water District Local Road Water Distribution Mains, Contract 2, WWD Bid 09.
Move it.
Cassie makes that
Second.
motion. Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve payment number 2 in the amount of $276,384.45 to Grant Street Construction for the Wawarsing Water District Local Road Water Distribution Mains, Contract 1, General Construction, WWD Bid 07.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 17, Town Board to approve payment application number 3 in the amount of $141,084.25 to H. Ulsterhout excavating for the Wawarsing Water District Individual Service Hookups, WWD bid 08.
So moved.
Second.
Laura makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to approve the payments of the following invoices to Labella Associates for the Wawarsing Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the supervisor to execute amendment to DEL 446 to increase the project funding to a total of $15,450,000 with the understanding that at least one further amendment will be necessary to complete the project in 2023.
I'll move it.
Cassie makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried, and we should state at this time, for those who don't know, that all of these motions, I believe up to 19, starting at what number, Paul?
Number 14.
They are all paid by the New York City DEP and not the town of Wawarsing residents. Okay?
Yep.
Can I suggest that last one we get off to Bill Richardson tomorrow?
Number 19?
We just get that moving, it's gotta go through the whole bureaucracy of DEP to
Yes,
get that amendment approved, it'll take
definitely.
months.
Yes. So now we're on number 20. To award the aviation fuel bid received on August 1st in the town clerk's office to Titan Fuels as follows. Total bid price, $5.376414 per gallon.
I'd like to make the motion, and also just to kind of clarify things a little bit. What we've done with this is it's a yearly contract that's renewable for up to a second and third year, and it's basically based on the commodity pricing of fuel. So we went out for bids with that type of wording in it. So this price that we're seeing right now in this motion was based upon the commodity pricing of fuel as of August 1st. So that's something that will vary up and down, but it's based upon, again, a competitive bid based upon the equations that were done and the benchmark pricing that is used for pricing fuel throughout the state of New York.
All right, so Paul made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That was a tie, right?
Yeah, it was.
Second.
Bill Brown seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried. Town Board to approve the purchase of Fisher and 8 stainless dual motor electric spreader in the amount of $6,295 from Robert Green Truck Division for the Highway
So
Department.
moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to set a curfew for any minor under 18 years of age for the following days, Sunday, October 30th and Monday, October 31st, due to the Halloween.
And this is per as the town ordinances, right?
Yes, this comes from our code book.
So moved.
Second.
Bill Brown makes a motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to authorize the town clerk to advertise in the local newspaper, Town of Wawarsing, Local Law 1-2004, which states that the Town of Wawarsing prohibits parking on all town roads determined by the highway superintendent for the period of November 1st to March 1st of the following year.
March 31st.
First.
March 31st of the following year.
I'll move it.
Cassie makes a motion.
Second.
Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion's carried. Number 24, Town Board to approve to close the Town Hall building and the accounting department from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on October 25th, 2022 for active shooter training.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes the motion. Paul seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is Captain Dan Wage of the Annabelle Police Department. That'll be providing that class. Number 25, Town Board to approve the Autumn Home and Business Decorating Contest beginning October 10th through the October 24th.
I'll move it.
Cassie
Second.
makes a motion, Bill seconds it. All in favor? Do
Aye.
you want to discuss how that,
I will do that under my concerns.
Okay.
I got a flyer.
okay. We're going to start with Mr. Page.
How long you want me to talk?
We're going to limit to 45 minutes.
The only thing I got to say, we got a couple of dirt roads we have problems with. Some kind of water streams alongside it. The biggest problem we have, we get a lot of trees this year. Awful lot. When people are marking trees, and I wish they wouldn't do it, they've got to call us and talk to us. Because once you mark the tree, something happens, the landowner could be responsible, or we could be responsible. That's very important.
So can you explain this? You're saying that people are marking trees?
Marking trees, and they say it's in the town right of way. Some of these roads are not, some of these trees are not in the town right of ways. Depends on the road. Some is road use only, and some is 50 foot. It depends where, when people finding out how much it costs to take trees down, they already found out, we got markers, this is our property line, this is your tree. In the past, you say to them, can we trim? They said no, and all of a sudden we got a problem. Or you have a problem. I'd rather they call us and talk to us.
And you can access it?
Yes. We have no problem taking them down if it's our tree.
And it probably goes without saying that these ash-borne disease that they have is a specific problem, but it doesn't extend to just that particular species, correct?
That's right.
It could be any kind of tree.
Some of these pine trees are growing right up on the edge of the road. Now, theoretically, we only have road use only. Now they got these things marked and they say, hey, what are you gonna do with them? You know, I just want the town to be liable, but I don't want, I don't want nobody getting hurt either.
Right. So are you still doing some patching?
We got, hopefully tomorrow, the last day of patching, we probably put out 9,500 ton of blacktop this year.
Wow. It's a lot.
Other than that, I'm good.
Okay. Mike Machetta's not here. Paul Tezolino.
Yes. Okay, a couple of things. We've had correspondence written into tonight's minutes regarding the electric wiring and the trees at Littman Park. We've also had I guess there was a newspaper article recently about it, and there were some comments and questions about alternatives to either trimming of trees or cutting down of trees. And one of the suggestions, and I thought it was a good suggestion to at least investigate, was that instead of removing trees or continuing to trim trees, people suggested that we might look into basically having that wiring go underground. And in getting information on that, it's roughly a half a mile of power lines that we're talking about, and pricing on that to do a half a mile of underground power lines from basically Route 209 up to the top of the transfer station came out to approximately $223,000 to do a project like that with underground cabling. So it obviously extremely expensive. The other thing also too, I think there's some misunderstanding with respect to which trees we're actually talking about. I know some people are concerned about black locust trees. It's not any of those type of trees. They're actually just evergreen pine trees that have been growing along that roadway for a long time. Anyone who's gone up to the transfer station, I think, would also notice that the row of pine trees as you go up the hill to the transfer station are extremely dense, packed together basically. And because of the constant need to keep the trees off the power lines, it's literally a wall that's basically been cut on that side. So you've got a tree that looks kind of normal on one side of the road, and you've got a wall of an evergreen that's on the other side of the road, which is going to continue to be a problem. The other thing too is if we get a tropical storm, we get a hurricane up here and the wind's blowing in the right direction, we potentially are going to have a situation of major expenses of even taking care of those power lines. Those poles, those utility poles and the power lines that run along that road are not the responsibility of Central Hudson. They are owned by the town. So, unfortunately, I think we do need to do tree remediation on those properties. So I appreciate the suggestions. I appreciate the concerns that people have about alternative routes and alternative methods. but to spend $250,000 almost to put underground wiring there, I think, especially in today's day and age and the times, I can't see how we're going to spend taxpayer money to do that. So that's, kind of the information on that I'd like to comment on. The other thing also, too, the community Wi-Fi project at Littman Park is just about done. We're just doing, and all the way up to the transfer station as well. So, as I said, it's just about done. All the hardware is in place. The system is actually operational right now. We're just kind of putting the bow around it and the finishing touches on it. The benefit, obviously, to the community is community Wi-Fi. So all of the gazebos and the parking lot and pretty much all of Littman Park right now has a community-wide active Wi-Fi system up and running. The fact that Terry brought out as far as the transfer station goes, we constantly get requests, and I understand that right now the process for anyone bringing items to the transfer station that are going to incur additional cost, basically you have to go up to the transfer station, they determine how much it's going to cost, and then you have to go back down into town and get a money order basically to pay for whatever it costs. Our next process on this, and Cassie and I are actually going to review this tomorrow at a meeting we have, is to implement credit and debit card transactions at the transfer station sometime, hopefully in the very near future, because now with the active Wi-Fi that we have there, we can actually process credit card transactions in a secure and reliable manner. So I know we've gotten a lot of requests for an alternative way to pay for things at the transfer station, and it's something that's coming. So just kind of stand by, and we're going to get it up and running as soon as possible. And that's all I've got for today.
Just a clarification on that.
Yep.
The money orders are for day passes.
Correct. And also for anybody that's bringing things like mattresses and
If they have a regular permit, they're allowed to bring a check.
Yes.
It's money orders for day passes, to pay for the day pass and to pay for what they bring in on that day pass.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
Thank you for
Well, the benefit is to use the
You're welcome.
debit card or credit card.
Yep.
Bill Brown.
Our ADA-approved playground equipment is starting to arrive. When we get it all here, we'll be installing it at Littman Park. We've advertised for a recreation director, and in the next few weeks, we'll be interviewing candidates and hopefully hiring an individual so that we could get our rec program running again. And I have a motion for the town board to approve to hire John Umbersock Jr. as a code enforcement officer at an hourly rate of $23.50. Starting date will be effective as of October 21st, 2022, and it's subject to a pre-employment physical and drug testing.
Bill makes a motion. I have a second.
second.
Cassie makes a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
That's all I have.
Cassie Spore.
Okay. I thank the board for approving the autumn home decorating and business contest again this year. We're really thrilled that the citizens get involved in that, and everybody likes going around and seeing the houses. And then after they see the houses, there'll be a link, and you can vote on the houses, and the houses and the businesses that get the most votes will win, and we'll announce that in our first November meeting. And I will be posting this. I'll be posting this up on Facebook and our other social media, and it'll be the flyers will be going out around town as well. And so that's very exciting, and there'll be a first, second, and third prize. And we also look forward to doing the holiday lights in December as well.
Can we talk about who made that flyer?
Well, Paul made the flyer, but my daughter helped me do the registration thing in Google Docs because I'm not a Google Docs person. She did it in like 3.5 minutes. I can do
It was 3.5 minutes well spent.
Exactly.
What's Google?
So like Bill said, we're looking to hire a rec director to take over the programs, but until then, Bill and I and the whole board is coming together to try to keep the things going that are normally taking place at this time of year. So bear with us if there's glitches, but we are trying to get everything up and going. Then I also have flag football's in session. First game is next week on a Wednesday. Coach Ian is doing a great job with the kids. Unfortunately, the weather washed them out last night on Wednesday, but I think their first game is this coming Wednesday. And I hear he has 23 kids playing, and he's very excited, and the kids are very excited. So they'll be over on Burn Road at 6 o'clock if anybody wants to watch the flag football. The Town of Wawarsing Water and Sewer have had a busy month. They did, and since it's our last, we hooked up 25 homes in the Wawarsing Water District so far. And Jimmy and his guys have been out doing, before they can do any digging, they have to do dig safes. And in the last 2 weeks, they've done 16 dig safes, determining where it's safe for the people to dig. And we appreciate all their hard work. And that's continuing to go forward. Amity has started their contract, so that meant they've done Piper and Pepper Lane, yep. And some of the other offshoots, and there's going to be starting on Stanton next week. And as soon as the transmission line is approved by the Department of Health, they'll be doing Deer Run, so that will make Councilman Brown happy. He has to get his transmission line approved first. And that's all I have tonight. All right.
Okay.
There you go.
So as far as the budget, we've completed, excuse me, we've completed the tentative phase 1 part of the budget, and now we are into the phase 2 preliminary part of the budget, which goes into the final part of the budget in November. But presently, we've completed the tentative. We've had 2 meetings this week on the preliminary. We'll have another couple next week, and we'll be getting to itemize the costs of everything that we
Doing business.
the cost of doing business, correct. You know, to see what our cost will be next year compared to what it was this past year. So we're in the process of that. We'll have our outside accountant coming in to assist with that. And we also will be having a meeting, myself and our labor attorney, with our HR person, our bookkeeper, our water and sewer employee, to discuss job duties as far as the accounting office, and because we're going to have a new district, a Wawarsing Water District, so we'll be discussing how the new HR person is working out and what we need to be done in the accounting office and where it's going to be done and what the tasks are going to be. So that's also a personnel issue, obviously. But I'm happy that we had this Part 2 EAF tonight with the Somerset Partners.
Yep.
And it's a great project. People don't know about it. They should know about it, but it's really approximately $400 million project. That's what I had mentioned earlier tonight, is I'd see as a very environmental appropriate type of project as far as disturbance of the property. It's not like they're going to strip the entire property and make hotel parking lots out of it. There's a lot of very nice environmental user-friendly ideas or specific designs that they have for the property, which is going, and then it's going to be a public-private property, which is going to bring property taxes into the town with the 45 to 55 single-family homes at 3, 4, and 5,000 square feet, which are going to be quite costly, and boutique hotel and dressing up the falls that is there. It starts up in 52 all the way down to the base level, and they'll be putting spa facilities around there. So they have a nice plan, and they've been working on it since last fall. And where we are in the project right now was tonight, the EAF Part 2 of the seeker process. And as Mike Moriello, the land use attorney, mentioned, we're going to be getting into the negative declaration decree by, I guess, the town board.
We'll consider it, yeah.
We're going to consider that, yes, and that in order to go forward with the project, that's something that has to be done, correct?
Yes, we have to make a determination.
Correct.
Negative, positive.
Right, so that's, procedurally, that's the process in town government and in compliance with the DEC and any other agencies that are involved with the project of that degree. So I just wanted to thank our town attorney and the township partners and everybody that's on the board. In any fashion that we have had any kind of moving in the right direction, it's much needed, and it's going to be a great use of that property. It's approximately a 600+ acre parcel on both sides of the highway. But it'll be nice to see that reinvented. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Paul makes a motion.
Second.
Bill seconds it.
Why, you want to stay?
Are you sure you don't want to
Stay?
Want to stay?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Good night.
Thank you.